Welcome back to United USA 2020. So I've done some other videos before about what's been happening to the cattle ranchers. It's a long story short, they're getting screwed. And here's another example. Check this out. Please like this video and share it. Take a look at this clip.
A classic symbol of the West. Locked up.
Horses just shoulder to shoulder, butt to butt, tail to tail.
George Knapp asked why so many are dying from a mystery illness in government holding pens.
On a Nevada range, a desperate young Mustang with a broken leg tried but failed to escape a government roundup and had to be put down. Deaths and serious injuries of wild horses have become a predictable consequence of the BLM's often brutal helicopter operations. The public rarely sees what happens next.
Horses just shoulder to shoulder, butt to butt, tail to tail. I mean, literally no room to even move. Actually, he's just a nice boy.
Jerry Reynolds has spent decades working on behalf of the Mustangs and wasn't at all surprised when news erupted in late April that captive horses were dying of a mysterious illness at a BLM facility in Colorado. The number of dead horses kept rising.
Well, it started off with 67, and all of a sudden we were up at 85, and then 100, and the last count I saw, and I'm sure there are more by now, that's been a week ago, was 149 horses.
The facility at Canyon City relies in part on prisoners to care for the Mustangs. But even with that help, Reynoldson says, the facility is woefully understaffed and overstuffed, with twice as many horses as it was built to handle, a direct result of BLM's accelerated program of roundups.
It just takes one horse to get sick, George. In a crowded condition like that, it'll just spread like wildfire, and that's what's happened.
When I was there in August, I found a lot of thin horses, a lot of competing horses, a lot of emaciated horses.
Professional photographer Carol Walker's iconic images of horses in the wild are known all over the world. She not only photographs them, but has adopted Mustangs from the Canyon City facility and is appalled by the conditions she's witnessed there and at other BLM pens. Like the rest of the public, she's barred from getting anywhere near the facility, but she's learned the mysterious disease that killed more than 140 horses, likely a version of equine influenza, was allowed to spread because the Mustangs were never vaccinated 10 months after their capture, a violation of BLM policy, one of multiple failures documented in BLM's own internal reports. And this is not a problem just at one or two facilities. You think it's across the board.
This is happening in other facilities and has been happening for years. And the idea that the BLM is now going to round up 23,000 more horses this year, where are they going to put them?
At the same time Mustangs were dying in Colorado, a huge BLM holding pen at Wheatland, Wyoming, was also off limits to the public because of an outbreak of a disease with an ominous name, strangles. 11 Mustangs are known to have died, but it's not over. BLM acknowledges that more than half of the 2,700 horses at Wheatland are now infected. Jerry Reynoldson says the disease is aptly named.
Basically strangle themselves. They die for lack of oxygen and circulation and dehydration, and you just can't imagine a more miserable way for an animal to have to die, George.
Despite the overcrowding and disease at multiple facilities, BLM plans to round up a record number of Mustangs in Nevada and across the West this year. For Carol Walker and others who come to know individual bands of Mustangs and their bloodlines, the sight of horses living and dying in BLM pens is soul-crushing.
It's the most heartbreaking thing I can imagine. Seeing these horses who had their families in the wild and were healthy and proud and free, and then they're in these filthy holding pens with nothing to live for, really. I mean, they're just standing there and the light has gone out of their eyes.
So yeah, very sad situation. I've done videos about the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and what they've been doing to farmers and ranchers over the last couple decades. Definitely you all will find that very interesting. Please stay tuned for more videos, like and share.